A final look at your sports now, starting on the tennis court. The US Open has begun in New York, and the final Grand Slam of the year is expected to provide thrilling battles. The revamped mixed doubles have already kicked off the proceedings, but all eyes will be on then turn to the singles events, which get underway on Sunday. Men's defending champion Jannik Sinner is battling illness after a tearful retirement at the Cincinnati Open final, while reigning women's titleist Aryna Sabalenka arrives with questions about her readiness to defend after minimal match prep on the American hardcourt swing. Joining us now from the Big Apple to predict the possible outcomes at Flushing Meadows is South African tennis legend Ilana Kloss. Ilana, appreciate your time on Newzroom Afrika. The tournament has already started. We've been speaking just off air, but if we look at the predictions, maybe let's start on the women's draw. Iga Swiatek, she has been the top seed for the last 3 editions, not being the #1 seed and having the tag of, favorite. Could that help her regain the title this year?
Absolutely, Voyu. I mean, I think her win at Wimbledon was a big hurdle for her to get over. She won Cincinnati last week, and, the ball bounces higher at the US Open. So I think she is the favorite, actually, to win this year.
Yeah, she comes in with that momentum after, as you mentioned, winning Cincinnati without dropping a set, if I have to mention at least that's part of the stat.
Yes, no, but, you have Sabalenka, who won last year, and, for her, she's so powerful, but she can tend to, make mistakes. So for her, she has to stay positive and keep the momentum going. So she's also very, very dangerous. She's won here before. She was in the finals. And then I think the other player that probably, everyone here in America would like to see win is Coco Gauff. She won her first Grand Slam title here. She won the French championships at Roland Garros this year, but she really has struggled. Her form has not been very good. First round loss at Wimbledon, first round loss or early losses in Canada and in Cincinnati. So her confidence probably is not as high as she would like it, but still a dangerous player. And I think on the screen now we're looking at the finals in Cincinnati. Paolini, obviously a great competitor, but Iga just has too much game. Even though that shot was unbelievable, and it was a huge heat wave there in Cincinnati. Much cooler here in New York.
I mean, sticking to just Iga, you look at her game, I mean, her top scene heavy game seems to have improved on faster surfaces, and she's added more aggression to her return game. Do these make her a strong contender to go all the way?
Absolutely. I think she's also a player that when she's confident and she gets ahead, she's very dangerous. So for Iga, I think the fact that she won Wimbledon, she won Cincinnati, that's going to help her big time. And as you say, she's getting much more comfortable on the faster court surfaces. So her victory at Wimbledon, I think, really changed the whole year for her, because she had not won a tournament until then. She won Wimbledon, she won Cincinnati. So I think she would be the favorite currently for the women.
You've touched on a bit on Aryna Sabalenka and, of course, the fast courts. For Sabalenka, she continues to be the most reliable performer at the major championships. I mean, her 2 finals appearances this season showcase her current form, and her aggressive baseline game thrives on the quick courts of New York.
Yes, well, she has a very powerful game, huge serve, and really big shots. She likes to keep the points short, but she can lose concentration. She's a player who I think just works hard and is very forceful. But for her, the hardest part for her is staying mentally, in the middle, not getting too high and not getting too low. But if her game is on, she's unbeatable. To be honest, she should have beaten Coco Gauff in the US Open in 2023. She was ahead of Coco at Roland Garros this year when Coco won the French. So I think for Zabalenka, a lot of it is on how she's going to handle the pressure and the big moment. But she's very, very dangerous. What's fantastic about women's tennis right now is there's no dominant player like there is in the men. You know, mostly now it's Sinner and Alcaraz, but on the women, there are probably, you know, 4 or 5 players that can win. And there's huge depth in women's tennis. So I'm really looking forward to seeing who can pull out the goods. And you can't discount Coco Gauff because she's won here before. The American crowd is going to be behind her in a big way. And, you know, this year is also a very special year at the US Open. It's the 75th anniversary of Althea Gibson, who was the first Black player to break the color barrier here at the US Open. So she won 75 years ago, and we will be honoring and celebrating her. So, you know, very meaningful US Open this year.
Can Sabalenka defend? I mean, as I mentioned in my introduction, she arrives in New York with questions about her readiness to defend after minimal match prep on the American hardcourt swing.
Yeah, but for sure she can defend. And actually, I think the fact that she, you know, didn't win at Wimbledon, she hasn't won a tournament the last few months. I absolutely think she's very dangerous, and you know, don't count her out. I would not count her out. She's a good competitor, and the pressure's a little bit off her. So I think that's a good thing for her.
Going to the men's draw now, I mean, Jannik Sinner, he's the defender, won the Australian Open and Wimbledon. He did retire in Cincinnati final due to illness, no, but assuming he's healthy, his clean ball striking, movement and composure does make him the most complete player at the tournament.
Absolutely. I think, again, Sinner would be the favorite. Keep in mind, Sinner had match points against Alcaraz at the French this year and lost. And so he actually would have been going for a Grand Slam here at the US Open, which is 4 in a row. You know, Australia, French, Wimbledon, and US Open. That is all 4 of the majors. So I think even though he wasn't well and he defaulted in Cincinnati, the temperatures are much cooler here in New York currently. It's actually raining at the moment. And I think he'll have enough time to recover. But Sinner is definitely the one to beat on this surface, for sure, in my opinion.
For Carlos Alcaraz, he arrives in New York fresh off his 3rd consecutive Masters 1000 title, and there's a recent correlation between Cincinnati winners following that up with further glory at Flushing Meadows. I mean, 3 of the last 6 men's champions, including each of the last 2 in Cincy, have gone on to become US Open winners. Alcaraz is there.
Absolutely. I mean, Alcaraz is the most fun player to watch. He has incredible variety. He has a true love and passion for the game. And on a given day, he can beat anyone. He's just a joy to watch. You know, just it's like fire and ice, right, with Sinner and Alcaraz. But he's unbelievable potential to be one of the greatest players ever. So a very exciting time in men's tennis. You know, nobody thought that, everyone was worried what would happen when Federer and Nadal retired. And then up came Sinner and Alcaraz. And then, you know, you can't count out Zverev, who's a good competitor. He won the US Open, I think in 2020, the COVID year, but he really hasn't won any majors since then. So I know he's very hungry for a victory. And then, of course, you can never count out Novak Djokovic, who is at 24 Grand Slam singles titles, same as Margaret Court. And I know he would very much like to get a 25th. So, you know, it's just a very exciting time in tennis. The US Open is the last major of the year. So I think everyone can't wait to see, you know, who's going to hold the trophy up in a couple of weeks.
touching on Zverev, interestingly, as you mentioned, it's not been an easy to make the case for anyone to break the dominance of Sinner and Alcaraz in 2025. Is Zverev, who is the only other man to reach a major final this year, capable of putting one or both out if they block his path to a first Grand Slam title?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think you can count him out. I think he's worked so hard on his game. He's improved his serve. He spent a few weeks at Nadal's academy after Wimbledon. So again, he wants it badly. And you just never know. In a 2-week tournament, a major, anything can happen. And I know he very much would like to prove that he is capable of winning a major. He actually, I think, he lost to Team at the US Open. So just, I know for him, he's paid the price. He has diabetes, so he has to manage that illness while he's playing. The cooler weather will also help him. So I wouldn't count him out for sure.
Just in closing, Ilana, we've looked at the favorites, but looking beyond the top favorites, if I mention a Jack Draper, his steady rise makes him a legitimate dark horse. Taylor Fritz, with the US Open final already under his belt, the American has both form and crowd momentum on his side. Ben Shelton's raw power and swagger always makes him a wild card.
Yeah, no, I think, the US Open, again, it's the American Championship. So the Americans are always going to be dangerous. They are motivated to do better. They are comfortable. They play a lot on these courts. So I think, Taylor Fritz, Ben Shelton, Tiafoe, who had a great year last year. Draper, I think also potentially, although, it's hard to win, right? You can get to the finals, but winning that first major can be a huge challenge. So I think you have to go with the favorites, which are, Sinner and Alcaraz, but you never know. And like I said, it's an exciting time, and really looking forward to seeing what's going to evolve over the next few weeks. And don't forget, the South Africans are doing unbelievably in wheelchair tennis, right? With KG, who's won a few Grand Slam titles, and Donald as well. So for me, going out the second week of the Open and watching the wheelchair tennis is also, very, very interesting.
And appreciate your time on Newzroom Afrika, and of course with your insights. We'll definitely be catching up with you as the tournament progresses. Ilana Kloss, South African tennis legend.